Hello class, this is the third video of our complex number series, and this time we're going to do some operations with our complex numbers. Okay, first off, let's add and subtract complex numbers. So what we have to remember here is thinking about complex numbers made up of a real part and an imaginary part, and when we add subtract, the real parts add together and then the imaginary parts add together, so they're done separately. So the first expression, the first example here, let's try that one. Okay, so what we need to have done is first expand the brackets, and we would obtain that. We have to remember this is a -2, and we're multiplying the -2 by a -5, so that's going to give you a +8. That's a potential error right there. Okay, and then collecting the real parts and the imaginary parts gives us this as a result. Next example, finding the real part of this expression. Okay, so it's the same as finding the real part. Let's multiply that -1 to both terms, and then let's collect our real and imaginary parts. And so the real part of this -3 minus I has to be the -3. Okay, next question, let's find the imaginary part of this expression. So let's collect the real and imaginary parts and simplify. And so we're finding the imaginary part of 9 minus 4i, which is just the -4. Now you have to remember, you don't include the I, because the I just indicates which is the imaginary part, and the number itself that's part of the imaginary part is the -4. Awesome. Well, why not? Let's continue and do some complex multiplication. So multiplying some complex numbers, here we have them, and when you multiply complex numbers, it is the same as like expanding our double brackets, and we can use a FOIL method to expand them. And we'll get 4 terms, 4 expressions, and what's important here is the idea that I have an I squared. Well, an I squared is the same as a -1, and that's quite an important step that we have to take into account for complex numbers. So our our +18 I squared becomes a -18. And by collecting the real imaginary parts, there's our complex number we have. Let's try the next example using a FOIL method, expand it out. Okay, there's that I squared term again. Remember that I squared is same as a -1. And it becomes a +3 here. And collecting our real parts, and we get that as our result. Okay, fantastic. How'd you go with that? I thought that was pretty good. Let's keep studying.